first broadcast of this All-Star Tour. We are here in Seattle in the shadow of the Space Needle to watch the All-Stars take on Seattle Riot. I'll be taking you through this game. I'm Topher Davis, here with my partner in crime, Anna Maria.
Hi, Topher, excited to be here. We're getting started now with Riot on O.
Yeah, our first time seeing these girls together on the field. Riot starting on offense, McKibben with the disc, and she has a quick turn. Short field for the All-Stars. Not a lot of yards to go. Stephlin with the disc. Goes to Hannah Leathers. Trying to find a round throw. Gets it off. Now they're moving across the field. Dory Franklin hits the turf. Keeps the disc alive, moving it back. All-Stars haven't got a lot of yards since this turn, but they're still in possession, trying to get the first point in the first break of the game. A quick give and go. Gets it back to Stevie Miller. She's playing a game of catch out there. And a drop. That's UCLA player Margot Sturt with the drop on the goal line. Now Riot back on offense. Ambler swings it around to Soper. Backhand to the live side of the field. And they're moving quickly. A deep huck. And again, off the hands. I don't recognize that player. Can you help me out, Anna?
Yeah, that's Rachel Bradshaw. Just out of the reach of Rachel Bradshaw. What's fun to see here is the Soper and Miller matchup. Both went to Ohio State.
Right, and both won with Ohio State?
Yes.
Just a couple years ago. Now the second possession for the All-Stars is Lim misses Brereton. And this is similar to what the All-Stars had. Riot with the short field. Looks like 15 yards to go to the end zone. Working backfield to Ambler.
Stern looks isolated here.
Ambler floats it up, probably a high count, and it's brought down.
Alyssa Weatherford with the goal.
So that's a turn, at least a piece from both sides, but Riot gets the first goal. And we are off and running in the first game of this tour.
This is the tour's first game, so there might be some kinks that they're trying to work out here. We should expect a few turns maybe in the first part of the game, but hopefully by the end they'll clean things up.
Right, and since this is our first game, we're having a little trouble with our graphics card. We won't have a scoreboard up for the stream, but we'll try to keep you updated. If you're just tuning in, it's 1-0. Riot with the first goal. They were able to hold their offensive point. Now we see a first look at their D-line.
So on this Riot D-line, we have Bailey Zanheiser, Charlie Mercer, we have Charlie Eide, Jelly Boyden, Lauren Sadler, Molly McKeon, and Shannon O'Malley.
And Riot quick to get down there, flashing in the lane. It looks like a zone defense from Riot right now. Transitioned into a person. Now they're moving quickly. All-Stars past half field. Aaron Schrader with the disc. Now Schaffner gets it in the middle of the field. Tina Titcomb, she's holding it for a second. Tough time. Gets it on the reset. Aaron Schroeder inside break to Schaffner. They're working that dead side well, but Jesse Schaffner goes to the live side, finds Jacqueline Verju, and a smooth possession, no turns for the All-Stars as their first offensive point is able to punch it in 1-1. Looks like Riot's changing their personnel quite a bit from their first offensive line.
Yeah, this O-line has Kate Kingery, one of their captains, Kelly Johnson, who usually plays on their D-line, Hannah Kawhi, Nora Carr, Sarah Davis, Julia Snyder, and Rory Titcomb.
Yeah, and I'm sure Riot will be trying to feel around their matchups and their lineups this whole game. They're in the middle of a big break of their tournament schedule this year. I don't think their next tournament is going to be the end of August in Minnesota.
Yep.
So they've got a lot of time to work with things, try to play around. And on a short pole, Riot's offense is well in the middle of the field. But Rory Titcomb, miscommunication with Davis. And here goes the All-Stars, a chance for a break in the third point. Miller in the center of the field. Resets to Normal. She swings around to Leathers. Now they're working that backhand side. Brereton with the disc. She's looking into the middle of the field. Normal gets up line and an easy goal. Nice upline move from Normal. And the first break of the game goes to the All-Stars as they take the lead 2-1. And we're talking about the different looks from Riot. We saw a different offensive set where they tried a side stack there. Do you know, is that typical of the Riot?
They have
offense?
they have done side stacks in the past. It looked like they had isolated Kawhi going deep, but she was covered pretty well. And it looked like the miscommunication came when Sarah Davis CO tried to come under, and Rory just missed through her. They have done where they go off on their split stacks pretty frequently, so we'll see if that happens again here.
Again, Riot doesn't hesitate to put on a fresh line. This looking more like the first O-line they put out. Ambler, Soper, and Weatherford, Stern out there.
It also looks like we have Rachel again, Rachel Bradshaw, Khalees Cardenas, and we have Katie Crayley.
The pull goes up. Horizontal movement from Riot. Soper has the disc on the sideline, needs the reset, gets it to Ambler. She moves it across the field. Riot trying to attack that middle a lot with their cutters, but Soper gets up line. Stern going deep, gets looked off. Now back around. Not getting very far, and again a miscue as Ambler was trying to go all the way around, but Crayley had already taken her cut to the middle of the field. Another break opportunity for the All-Stars. Cousins throws it straight into Ambler's arms, and she goes for Stern quickly, but just too far. The good look as Stern had some steps, but the throw was not there.
With the exception of the Bradshaw drop in the first point, it looks like a lot of Riot's turns are either miscues or just not quite syncing up with their cutters and their handlers.
Oh, and a piece of that around throw. Crayley gets it to swing all the way to the outside, intended target for Stevie Miller. Now with about 20 yards to go, Soper is picking the disc up on the sideline. Riot appears to be in their end zone set already, a vertical stack in the middle of the field. Soper and Weatherhead playing it back and forth in the handler positions. And a strip called as she goes for the live side flick, and it gets knocked right out of the hand. Still in that backfield set. No one from the stack has been able to get open, but Soper gets it up line. Now breaks it across on the movement. Stern is just yards from the goal line. And Soper puts the move on Stevie Miller and gets the goal. Riot offense able to avoid another break and ties this game at 2s. Score is 2-2, and we see another O-line from the All-Stars. Alika Johnston, Jacqueline Verju, Jessie Schaffner, Lisa Caithley, Sheena Titcomb. I can't tell who those last two are. Oh, it looks like Haley Walrus and quite possibly Erin Schroeder.
This looks very similar to the line where they just worked it up the field with no turns and just scored very easily.
Titcomb picks it up in the middle. Swings it out to Walrus and goes up line. Walrus is able to hit Titcomb. Wants to look deep. Wonderful footwork from Titcomb in the backfield. She able to hit Schaffner across to Verju, and she takes a deep shot, but Alika Johnston was coming under, and easy for Riot to pick that up just to ensure that Johnston doesn't get a second look at the disc, and 70 yards for Riot to go to get a break back and get this game back on serve. Tries to go the inside break. Schaffner reads it great, and a quick flip to Alika Johnston. All-Stars O-line able to hold, keep the lead 3-2. I can tell you as a defensive player myself, picking the disc up on the goal line in that corner, it's very easy for the offense, just turn defense to get set up, put them in a tough spot. Couldn't get a reset throw, had to go to the inside, which is just a tough throw from the thrower.
And Schaffner read that disc perfectly. She saw what the thrower wanted to do and just timed her run through so that she could get it and throw it immediately for the score. It's been interesting to see Alika Johnston line up as a cutter in this All-Star Tour. Typically for Scandal and for her college UVA, she's been handling, so she's a little bit more lethal downfield. She can get the disc and has these great throws.
Right, and that's something I'm very excited for about the tour, actually, is that all these swords have such good disc skills that the ability for anyone to be a handler, it's not so much as like the top three throwers are going to be forced to be backfield. They all could be back in that position. So I imagine we're going to see a lot of dynamic looks, especially as they feel each other out, see who's more comfortable where.
So here Riot goes back to the side stack.
Weatherford with the disc. Easily gets it up. And a shot, deep shot, wide open. I believe that's Khaleesi Cardenas in the end zone. Easy offensive point for Riot, really taking advantage of all that space on the open side of the side stack. I think that's the most complete point we've seen Riot put together so far in this game. A lot of miscues early on, but they're cleaning it up as they're getting warmed up and getting a feel for what's going on out here.
So this is the second time that Hannah Kawai has been isolated off of that initial cut from the side stack. Let's see if Riot continues to look to her first or if they switch up their cutters.
On the right D-line, some players that you're definitely going to want to pay attention to. One on the line, Kelly Johnson. Very, very physically active handler defender. And then holding the disc set to pull, Shannon O'Malley, the 2010 Women's Callahan winner. She puts it all out on the line. I'm excited to see what she's able to do on the field and if she can get a turn off of these young all-stars who have looked very good on their offensive sets. Pull goes up from O'Malley. Looks like Titcomb lets it hit the ground. Looked like a design play to get Walrus going up the sideline. Near bid in the middle of the field.
That's Lauren Sadler.
Lauren Sadler really playing off a Titcomb, flooding the lanes. It wasn't her D there as a missed throw intended for Walrus. Now Riot a chance to get a break. And I believe get a break to take the lead and put this game back on serve. Game tied 3-3. O'Malley to Zanizer in the middle. Swings it to the sideline. Sadler now with the disc. Looking to the middle of the field, has an open up line cut. Able to reel it in. They're 10 yards outside the goal line. Still on that sideline, hasn't gotten across. And Kelly Johnson on the swing to Sadler. She's able to keep it up off the ground. Great play by Sadler. Let's see what she can do with it. And wow. A goal just past the bidding Aaron Schroeder. Riot able to get a break back, put this game back on serve, and take the lead 4-3. That was an exciting end of the point there.
There were bids all over the place from the start from Lauren Sadler, and then the way she was able to stay with it when the turn happened.
Yeah, and I don't know how Schrader missed the disc there. It looked like it had to have gone right between her hands. She was in the right position, made the right play, and Riot still ended up with the goal.
It was great concentration from Boyden when she went up line to stay with that even past the bidding Schrader.
Riot with a 1-point advantage, and this game's back on serve. All-star offensive line. Looks like it's Cousins, Leathers, Titcomb, Pitt-Caithley, Johnston, Schrader, and Scarth. You might recognize at least 5 of those names from the USA U23 women's team. Titcomb receiving the pole was on the mixed squad that won gold. Center Schrader around to Pitt-Caithley. Up to Leathers. Cousins is wide open on the sideline. Good job working it up that flick sideline. Now they're moving it back around. Pitt-Caithley near the middle of the field, all the way to the backhand sideline to Leathers. Upfield to the live side with Scarth. Loses some yards on the reset, but still plenty of time. Pitt-Caithley able to get it to the live side. About 15 yards out of the end zone. They're gonna move it around. Big break side throw, and Cousins directing traffic. Able to direct Titcomb into the wide open space for the goal. And a smooth offensive point, 0 turns from the All-Stars, and they tie it up 4-4.
And that was great offense from the All-Star. They would hit the open field, and then if it wasn't there, they would dump and swing across, waiting for the next open look. Nothing too fancy, but just solid all around.
You can see on the All-Star line that the coach for Riot is that Andy Loveseth.
Yep.
Is out there. I'm not quite sure if he's if that's very close defensive scouting for his Riot team, or if he's kind of acting as a coach for the coachless all-star team. I believe he was involved in their first and only practice that went on yesterday. Soper in the field, center of the field. A floating disc, but Ambler has no problem reeling it in. Not a lot of pressure from her defender, Steph Lim there. Tries to throw a flick straight up the sideline. Sails over both players' heads. Now 70 yards to go for the All-Stars to get another break back, get a point advantage in this game. As of now, we're tied 4-4, still on serve after both teams get a break. Schaffner in the middle of the field. And just throws it behind Stephen Miller. She can't get the one-handed grab on it at half field for Riot. As Soper and Ambler are playing in the middle of the field. Inside break to Kawhi, and she's able to continue to the break side. Shira Stern wide open. Must have been a blown matchup or a blown switch, as she's able to reel in that goal, no problem. Shira Stern, who gets the goal there, shared the field with most of these All-Star girls at the U23 games just last week. Quite the schedule for most of these girls on the tour, as I'd say at least half to 2/3 were in London, got back, got a week break, and are now here in Seattle, ready to start a 9-game tour across the United States.
And then some of them are even competing in tournaments throughout the rest of the year. So Colorado Cup, which is the Pro Elite Challenge, which is coming up this coming weekend. I know a few of the players on the All-Star Tour will be at that tournament.
Yeah, most of them, in fact. That's a big reason why favorite team, San Francisco Fury, that a lot of people were expecting to be on the tour circuit, got missed out because they wanted to get to Denver, get these girls an opportunity to play with their teams halfway through the tour. Again, Titcomb handling for the offensive line. Walrus throws it behind Johnston, and Johnson is able to get the D. Now Riot looking to expand their lead to 2. Get up a break. Stuck on the sideline, goes around. And that one just goes straight through the hands of the Riot player. Moving quickly, a lot of space backfield, but good job from the marks, not letting a huck go off from Pekathli. But Titcomb, she's gonna go stretching the field to Verju, just outside the end zone. No mark yet. Now the stall's going. Resets to Walrus, Pekathli on the sideline. 3 handlers back in this end zone set. Now they've settled into a traditional 2 handlers vertical stack. And Johnston on the live side hits Lisa Pekathli. And a tie game, 5-5. All-Stars able to keep their offensive hold. And both teams settled in. A couple miscues, bad throws, bad drops, but for the most part, I'd say both teams are looking smooth. We're gonna look in this red zone at the give and go move from Alika Johnston. Resets the disc and just takes off up line. From that point, she's got a wide open field. And Pitt Caithley was able to get to the live side, no problem.
If any of you would like to show your support for the All-Star team, come on down and get some stickers. We have little star stickers down here. Come on down.
Steph Lim to pull for the All-Stars. 60 yards on the pull. Ambler to Weatherford to Titcomb. Rory Titcomb, that is.
So Riot will do this every once in a while. They'll send their handlers to attack upfield and push everyone to the side stack. And now after they've come out of that, looks like a shot to the end zone.
And a floaty disc. And there's our international player, Brereton, to knock it away. Brereton was playing with Australia and London for the U23s just last week.
That's a great matchup there. Both of them are, both Brereton and Goodrow are very tall. It was a fun matchup to see there.
And a floaty disc could have been anyone's ball. But the All-Stars come down with it. Now Sturt in the middle of the field to Cousins, Brereton. A lot of movement from handlers coming from the backfield to get the disc. Miller on the sideline, goes all the way around, passes Franklin, trying to get to Cousins, just doesn't have the loft on it. Riot taking their time to set up an offense. Now on the flick sideline, tries to go inside and another turn. That's the second inside centering pass that just didn't work.
Great D there from Riot to stop that huck.
Yeah, Brereton was streaking and the crowd was expecting that. You could hear it in their noise. Now Steph Lim in the middle of the field to Brereton. Sideline to Lim. Leathers. Miller on the break side sideline. Gets it in the middle. They're not getting a lot of yards on this passes. Except there, Franklin now just a couple yards outside the end zone. And she's able to hit her Colorado Cali and Colorado Mama Bird teammate, Megan Cousins, on the break side. And I believe that's a break goal for the All-Stars.
Yep. And anytime the All-Stars have gotten a break, the second one, they just really take what Riot is giving them. They're not trying to force anything too crazy. Just hit the open look and then dump swing if it's not there.
And they're indicating a timeout on the field. Looks like the All-Stars want to take a little break as they're 2 points away from taking half. With the small roster, they want to get all the rest that they can squeeze out of this first half. And their break, we're going to take a little moment of radio silence, and we'll be back when the action's back on.
We ended up showing it. Ooh, this Rio. If you would get the sunset, the sunset. Good talk.
And we are back with the poll coming up from Steph Lim and the All-Stars just getting a break. They have the lead 6-5 over Seattle Riot here in Seattle. Riot's offense was a set play to get it to the McKibben on the sideline. Centers to Johnson. Around to Stern. And an unfortunate drop, just no pressure on the swing. All-Stars have a great opportunity here to expand their lead to 2, get up 2 breaks. Stevie Miller picking up the disc. And a tough time with Miller and Lim in the backfield.
And that was great defense by Soper to cause that confusion on the dump throw.
Now McKibben just 5 yards out. Johnson streaking up line. And Riot, after a miscue on the drop, has no trouble with their second chance to tie this game back at 6s.
And if you notice when Riot plays, they don't have a strict O-line or D-line set. You'll see different packages of people who come and play together. So typically it's 2 cutters and 1 handler. So that way there's a little bit more fluidity in the O and D lines, and everybody is expected to play both great O and solid D.
Anna, who do you see on the Riot D-line about to set off on this point?
I see Sadler. She had a near miss bid early on in the game. I think she's ready to get one here.
And Sadler from the University of Washington Element.
She
She was voted the Defensive Player of the Year.
For Alti World, yep. And so she transferred over there for grad school. So she had 1 year of eligibility left, and she came over from American University down in DC.
Right, she was on Scandal for a good number of years. Now on offense, tick come to Pitcaithley. No one's on Pitcaithley. Schaffner just takes off. The disc is floating. Davis is there, and Schaffner reels it in, goes up early. And a great long ball from Lisa Pitcaithley to Jessie Schaffner. What a quick point to give them the 7-6 lead. There was no problem there.
Quite unfortunate for Riot there. Blown coverage. Pitcaithley had no one on her. She could throw whatever throw she wanted, and Schaffner was open deep. That was not something that Riot was looking for there. Let's see if they can get a better look here on O.
I think that goes back to a little bit of the skills of throwing from everyone on the team. I know Schaffner has a very dangerous deep throw, but with Pitcaithley there, she's definitely not shy about throwing it far. And making quick work of a point.
It's been great to see for the All-Stars how many different people have scored. So they're not relying on one person yet. They're kind of spreading everything around here.
A chance to break into half for the All-Stars. Riot needs a score to put it at 7-7. Tick come to Weatherford in the center of the field. Swings it out to Cardenas. Kwai on the sideline. Takes a generous step forward after going out of bounds. No travel call. And a hand block going to be called a foul. Brereton is using some international hand signals, it looked like. I don't know if that was a contest signal. I think she's contesting Stahl coming in at 3. Ankara trying to step around. for the dump. Reset gets bumped. That one is an uncontested foul. Goes inside to McKibben. Upfield to Kwai. Resets to the middle. Inside reset to Kwai. They're on the dead side and just dead side, dead side, dead side finds Cardenas for the goal. (7-7) Universe point for half.
So Riot came out on that side stack again and again isolated Kawhi. They seem to be going to her a lot right off the bat and then seeing what happens if she doesn't get it.
Is Kwai a dangerous deep thrower?
She can be. She has a lot of inside breaks. She plays a lot of goal tee around Seattle, and a lot of those throws come from all of her practice with that. But I would say she's a better inside and around thrower than deep.
Having a thrower that can hit any part of the field certainly is dangerous. It allows the cutters to just move away from the defender no matter what position they're playing. And when you hit the break side like they did in that end zone set, it's just so easy to keep flowing, and then you're in the goal.
It's also interesting to see Riot's end zone set. They push their stack really far back into the end zone and have two handlers out, and they usually take the first person in the stack, isolate them, and try to pull them back to help with the handlers pushing it forward. But everyone else is giving them a lot of space, a lot of room to work with, so those breakthrows are viable.
Certainly most end zone sets are very similar to that, but just the minorest differences can change team to team. Now it's 7-7. This next point will take us into halftime. Set play to get it to Scarth on the sideline. She's going deep for Picathley. She's got a defender on her back, but lays out in front of Zonheiser, gets the goal, and takes the All-Stars into half. 8-7, up a serve. What a deep look from Scarth, and what a read by Lisa Picathley.
That was an awesome catch. She had her defender behind her, but then she had that poach defender coming in. It was great concentration to stay with that even through the contact.
And that's 2 offensive points in a row where the All-Stars were able to just take a deep look from that sideline. Their opening play is working. We'll see if Riot is able to adjust coming out of the halftime. But the All-Stars really coming out of the gates firing against what I thought was going to be a tough game for them, taking on Seattle Riot in their first matchup of the tour.
Yeah, the first couple points saw a lot of miscues, a few overthrows, but now they've settled into their rhythm and they're really looking like a strong team here. It definitely helped with a lot of them playing together last week at Worlds, but it's good to see all these people gelling together so quickly.
Well, we're in halftime, so be sure to let us know how we're doing. You can tweet at the All-Star Alti, or at myself at the Real Topher Davis. If you have any questions, comments, concerns about the broadcast, we're going to take a quick break and be back for the action.
Hey, good job!
Yeah, I'm up on today.
Rio, you can take your headset off now. You're good.
How am I gonna know? They probably have questions, comments, and concerns.
What?
Oh man.
I don't know, Fresh. Are we just having a feed for half?
Yeah, it's just sitting there.
On camera 1? Yeah, don't move camera 1.
We're on camera 2.
Why? What's different? Is it worse?
No, it's like it's just more complicated, more techy things to explore. The rules
going?
It's going all right. It's fine. A little hard, but yeah.
Hard. You know what's hard? Not traveling with you.
I want to say.
Good. It's fun.
What do you think? Am I yelling at you too much?
That is you. It's really tough. You can like base stage and just like only worry about that one side. You know, like, it's also like it's so shaky.
It's definitely a talent to make it really smooth.
And the plus and minus to that. Yeah, just I think it's relaxing. So like a lot of people are really tight.
Yeah.
When you're tight, it's gonna shake. So you gotta let your body relax. Like think about moving your shoulders back and relaxing. And I just think relaxing your body is the biggest thing. You gotta remind yourself. It's a dance. It's an elaborate dance. It's like the tango.
Yeah, way better. Fresh can adjust it from there. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah. You can adjust like twice. You're in charge of I don't know. What was the score at the end? Very end. 7? It's like Riot's making a bunch of mistakes.
When we play Clean Ultimate, it's great, but the points that they turn out.
It's really hard to pay attention to the game, actually. Like, I know Jesse did some cool stuff, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, you can't really like enjoy. Yeah.
I mean, it's going by really fast. It's fun.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
like, I have no
Points
idea
are
what
pretty
happened.
quick.
Even when I'm watching the replay, literally watching the game, but I have no idea what's happening. It's like, when's the next play gonna come?
The replay's even hard because you're like just focused on the buttons.
I can't believe
What's
how far
going
that
on in the room?
Where are you getting the replay from? From camera 2 and camera 3?
Oh my god, it's that
From camera 1?
Oh my god.
If you guys fuck up and I stream it and don't realize it, then everyone else sees it.
Yeah.
So basically, like your cable right there goes up into what is called an ATEM. There's an yeah, that's what an ATEM is. And so then the ATEM goes into a video hub, which like records stuff, and then the video hub goes into replay.
Freestyle guys are so much closer than whatever you're saying. How many hours did you spend to get good at that? I'm
Like,
really good
a lot of people are like, how many hours did they
Someone told me that the other day. They're like, why do you like Ultimate Frisbee? And I was like, I like it because the athletes are so fast that they're like, yeah, kind of like
Are they going out already? Such a quick half.
that was very fast.
Alright, back to positions! Positions! Positions!
We are up and live back on the field just in time for the first pull from Riot. I'm Topher Davis here with Anna Maria Peruk. All-Stars up a break at 8-7. They're starting on offense, facing a zone defense from Riot. Riot just got burned by 2 deep shots from the All-Star offense, so trying to take away that deep look early. And now they settle into a person defense with Pitt Caithley in the middle of the field. Schaffner has no one as she gets it with a lot of gaining yards. Now Pitt Caithley, she's fakes the backhand, resets to Titcomb. Working that break side. Pitt Caithley into the center of the field. Inside break to Titcomb, and after a bobble, she's able to reel it in. No turns for the All-Stars as they expand their lead to 2, 9-7.
It was really interesting to watch the 2 different teams at halftime. The All-Stars, they were in all different groups. Some were throwing, some were just stretching, hanging out, laughing. In Riot, they had their core members in a circle really talking very intensely, it seemed like, at what they wanted to do in the second half. So the vibe on the 2 different teams was really different, and the All-Stars came out and just took care of business on that point.
Right, and I'm sure that the Riot team was talking about what adjustments they needed to make. It's a showcase game, but a team like Riot, they're not going to take anything less than 100% serious.
Riot's going back to their traditional O line with Ambler and Soper, it looks like, along with Kawhi, C.O. Davis, Stern, and McKibben. Let's see if they isolate Kawhi again on that side stack.
Looks like they're spreading the field to do a horizontal. That disc hits the tape, goes out of bounds. They're going to get it to the center and just get a couple more yards on the brick. It looks like she's going backfield with it. And Kawhi wide open. I don't know if this is a zone look from the All-Stars or if they've just missed their matchups. But Riot well past half field on a few passes. Kawhi just 10 yards outside the end zone. Resets to Roy Titcomb. Back to Kawhi. Loses yards to Soper as she immediately puts it back into the middle on the dead side. And we're seeing a 3-person weave almost from Soper, Titcomb, and Kawhi. And Soper finally takes a shot to the end zone to Stern. She's able to reel it in front of Hannah Leathers. And Riot's first goal out of half, 8-9.
Yeah, now when the All-Star defender set up really far deep to stop any deep looks initially, but she set up too far, so when the breakthrow came to Kawhi, she couldn't collapse and defend that. And they got a couple throws down the field before they had any defender set up on them.
We're going to throw out a couple hats.
Taking a look out at the stands, it looks like we have quite the crowd out here for the first game of the tour. I know that before the game, Seattle was running their elementary school league. That's how early it starts here. Elementary schoolers out on the field, getting their last couple games into the season, and they're all still here in full force, as well as the rest of the Seattle Ultimate community here to support the Seattle Riot team and this All-Star Ultimate Tour, which was started and organized by the Riot player Gina Titcomb.
Riot came down in a zone to start the second half and then fell into person defense. Let's see if they try to switch things up again, try to get a break early off.
Not a great start as Shannon O'Malley pulls that one straight out of bounds. Walrus takes it to the center of the field, to the brick.
It looks like they're setting up a handler poach initially.
Flooding the lanes. Tough time getting there. Oh, wow. Virgil just picks it straight out in front of Shannon O'Malley. Looked like it was going to be an easy D, and now they're off and running. But Kathy on the sideline. Virgil all the way to the break side. Finds her Riot teammate, Chena Titcomb, in the end zone. And quite the turnaround for the All-Stars after a near D on their first couple throws.
Yeah, that was great concentration by Jacqueline to catch that, even though Shannon was clearly coming in very quickly. I'm sure after this game, Riot's going to be glad to have Jacqueline back on their roster.
Yeah, Jacqueline, definitely one of the most fun players to watch on this tour, as she's the youngest. Hasn't even entered hasn't even entered college yet. That would be a little too crazy. She'll be attending Dartmouth next year as a freshman.
Yeah, before she even starts college, she has quite the ultimate resume following her. She's played on some world teams. She was on the U23 and U19 teams.
So All-Stars up 10-8. A 2-point lead. They were able to get up a break before half and started out on offense. Coming out of the half. Now Riot getting big yards on the first throw and their second throw. There's Kwai isolated on that live sideline. Tries to go to the reset to Weatherford, and Brereton knocks that one right out of the air. Short field and another break opportunity as Leathers picks it up. Down the sideline, Franklin swings it around to Normal. She's in the center of the field. Back to Franklin. Franklin gets yards on the break, nearly D'd by Roy Titcomb. Leathers in the center of the field. Resets to Lim, and she goes on the high release backhand. Bookends points for Brereton.
A lot of Riot's turns have just been miscues or miscommunications or just silly little things that you would expect Riot to not have a lot. On that one, Kawhi just didn't put it out far enough for Weatherford for that dump reset.
It's tough when you have a very tall player sitting in the backfield. You might usually expect Brereton to be downfield, but when they mark up against a handler, they really shrink the options of the throwers back there. And yeah, those resets, they can't keep, even if that was a normal size player maybe, Weatherford can just keep her on the back, get the disc from the air and keep moving. Well defended.
Tonight's the first stop on Long Journey.
That's at least 3 turnovers from the dump throws. The first, Weatherford in the beginning, just a little miscommunication with the dump behind. At one point, Goodrow went to throw the inside instead of the around, and then this time Kawhi just didn't throw it far enough.
Ambler in the center of the field, Riot on offense again. Break throw to Johnson. Up to Stern. Hotly contested, but reeled in by Riot. Just 15 yards outside the end zone. Johnson streaks up line, able to get it. In that red zone set, she's trying to get to the center of the field, able to get it off. And tries to go for the quick up line strike.
And great bid by Kingery, but just not quite there the disc dropped a little too quickly for her.
70 yards to go for another break. Johnson centers to Leathers, now to Stevie Miller. Round to limb, good job working that dead side, and Leathers, great throw out to space. Sturt just outside the end zone. Takes a short pass to Johnston. Doesn't have an option. High release flick to Normal and a quick throw to Cousins after that. That was quite the throw to open up the red zone from Alika Johnston.
The All-Stars are going up a few breaks here, and I think the way that they're doing it a lot is just moving the disc pretty quickly from side to side and then pushing it up the middle when it's open. They're not forcing anything, but they're just taking what Riot's giving them.
Yeah, it seems to be textbook ultimate that you want to just swing, swing, swing to the dead side as long as you can break it, and then you can get your cutters upfield for big gainers to the middle of the field. And of course, having 2015 Callahan winner Alika Johnston holding the disc in a tough situation. That's a throw you're not going to see very often.
I'm going to say a word and you're going to repeat it. That's the gist of the cheer. So it starts with I.
Riot crowd trying to get their team back in this game. See if the home field advantage will be able to put the pressure on the All-Stars. But All-Stars with a comfortable lead after getting 2 breaks. They're at 12-8. Just need to score 3 points to Riot 7.
Riot seems to have a set play each time they start on offense, whether it's isolating someone from a side stack or pushing one of the handlers out to have a cutter come fill that dead space.
Looks like they have a side stack trying to get to Stern on the live side. Stern and Kwai play a little give and go. Now to Soper on the live side sideline, and a player is down on the field. Rebecca Brereton away from the disc, so I'm not entirely sure what happened down there. She's up, still on her feet. Looks like she clipped Schaffner coming out the top in the cutting lanes. No problem, though. I'm sure they're discussing where players were on the field as the disc gets tapped back in. Riot's offense, about half the field to go. Oh, and a deep look. Not quite in the end zone, but able to take advantage of poaching deep in the lane. What a swing over to Kwai. And she's able to continue it to that dead side to Rory Titcomb. Riot finally puts in a point, stops the bleeding. Now down 9-12.
That's what Riot needed. They needed just a smooth offensive point, working it down the field, get their confidence back. And let's see if they try to do something interesting on defense, maybe a zone, maybe some handler poaching, to take away some of those throws from the All-Star team.
Yeah, and I tell you, I've watched a lot of Riot games, and being down in the second half is something they're familiar with and something they've overcome. They're not a team to give up, and I do believe they're going to try to do something different with their defense. They have a lot of looks, have a lot of talented defensive players.
Yeah, I don't think right now is the time for them to be worried. If All-Stars do score this point, then that might be time to rethink some strategy. But I think let's see after this point what happens.
Yeah, only down 3 in a break. Cuts that to 2 at a critical time. The All-Star offense seeming to be setting up a play, taking a little bit more time, maybe feeling the pressure and the importance of this point for them. Pull near the sideline. Johnson picks it up just inside her own end zone, centers to Walrus. Looks like person defense, nothing crazy, but Johnson poaching the lane. She's able to pick it up in a short field for Riot. This is exactly what they needed. To O'Malley. Now they're moving the disc quickly. And Johnson just taking over the point. She's in the goal. Bookends for Kelly Johnson. At Riot, critical time to score, 10-12.
The last 2 points have been great for Riot. They worked it down really easily on O. Then on D, they got a short field turn with the poach in the lane and then quickly scored.
These all-star players come from all over the country. Jacqueline comes from Seattle here, Haley from Eugene, Hannah Weathers from Atlanta, Georgia, Alika Johnston from Arlington, Virginia, Stevie Miller from Ohio.
So on that last defensive possession for Riot, they came down in person with slight poaches in the lane. And it worked really well for them. Let's see if they keep that same D or if they change it up to confuse the All-Star team a bit.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that the All-Stars to just throw it into the center poach like that when their strength has been working it on the sideline and on the break sides. That they were just looking right into where Riot wanted them to look.
Yeah, Riot made that throw look really good, almost too good, and they took that bait.
Johnson in the center of the field, now swings it to the sideline. Schrader with it. Inside break to Schaffner, still on the sideline, and Schaffner trying to go with the inside flick. Big point blocked by Bailey Zonizer. Zonizer now in the middle of the field. Centers to McKibben. Having a little trouble. Schaffner poaches off Zonizer. She's got a wide open look. Tries to blade it in. And Verju sees the disc, turns around, bats it down, no problem.
I think Bailey wants that throw back. It looked really tempting, but with Jacqueline back there and her closing speed, you can't tempt that.
So 70 yards to go. With Schrader with the disc. Big gainer to Bacathley, and Bacathley stretching the field. Schaffner trying to outrun her matchup, but looks like her legs gave out from underneath her. I know she's been battling a hamstring injury. Maybe it caught up with her there. But Riot defense, another chance to break, cut this lead to 1. Working it around the field, and then hits the cutters to the middle. This is that textbook offense that we were talking about. Centering pass, Riot not getting much yards. Get it there on the give and go. Now on the sideline about midfield. Reset near the center, moving it to that break side. Zonizer in the middle of the field. Gets a gaining throw to McKibben. McKibben able to turn it around, throw it to Mercer. Possession-oriented offense right here from Riot. They're not taking a lot of shots. Great job hitting the dead side and able to continue to the dead side. Riot, another break, 11-12, and they are right back in this game.
Just when we had talked about that Riot was not afraid to go down, that they always keep digging and keep pushing through, they rattled off a couple straight breaks there.
Thank goodness they're making me a man of my word. And I wonder if this is also one of those things where the small roster of the All-Stars is starting to catch up with them. We saw Schaffner have to pull up on that deep look to her. Their defense maybe not as intense. It looks like they're content staying on top of the Riot players and letting them have the unders. But it's not enough to put pressure on the Riot team and force a turnover.
And it looks like Riot has adjusted their mark slightly from the first half. It looks like they're stepping off a little bit. And so those big around breaks that the All-Star were getting in the first half aren't there anymore. Or you have to have a perfect throw because the other ones have been getting deep.
So after 2 breaks in a row, the All-Stars take a timeout. This is a great time to mention one of our major partners, Team Eric. Early recognition is critical. Now, Eric employs ultimate Frisbee clinics and tournaments to teach youth about body and cancer symptom awareness and the importance of living a healthy lifestyle. We're certainly trying to promote this across the country, as we think ultimate Frisbee is the most healthy lifestyle really anyone can do. So coming out of the timeout, Riot on defense still down a point, 11-12, and down a break. All-Stars have 4 breaks to Riot's 3, but they were looking at a 12-8 deficit and made this a very, very close game in Seattle's hometown.
Riot also seems to be riding the crowd right here. Everybody wants Riot to win. And let's see if the All-Star can quiet the crowd here.
Schrader with the disc in the middle. We see the sagging handler lane. Titcomb gets it to Scarth in the middle of the field. Back around to Titcomb. Sadler well off the mark, as you had mentioned, Dana. Move it all the way around. Schrader to Johnston. Now they're working that break side again. Verju just 5 yards outside of her end zone. Almost having a tough time with that mark, but Walrus is able to get it. Swings around to Scarf. She's at that sideline, able to keep it in though. No continue. There it is. She's able to find Aaron Schrader.
Looks like a pick was called. Oh, but it was not on her, so.
Yeah, pick called away from the play, and it might have also been a throw before the goal throw, but it doesn't matter as it was away from the play. All-Stars able to stop the bleeding. Now 13-11. Good position for the All-Star team to be in right now.
On that last point, what they did, instead of just keeping their handlers back and swinging side to side, they took their middle handler, pushed them upfield, and had a cutter come back and fill. Take those defenders in the lane, take them out, so that way it opens up some throws there.
Yeah, after a couple points, maybe they're able to settle into that poachy from the handler set. When you're able to recognize what the defense is doing, it's a lot easier to beat it. Sometimes when they're doing it for the first time, you'll get caught, like that first break on the run of breaks that Riot went through. Lim with the pull down the sideline, fielded by Titcomb. Just able to center it to Weatherford. Plenty of yards. Stern is at midfield in 2 passes. Resets to Kwai in the center of the field. Now around Weatherford. And Kwai in the center of the field drops it. Dory Franklin bidding, but I don't think she maybe put the pressure on Kwai, but it looked like a drop. So now Cousins in the center of the field. Riot's defense hoping to stop, well, Riot on defense. All-Stars defense hoping to get another break in. Lim on the sideline. Nothing going on as the stack is getting set. Miller has it in the middle of the field, around to Cousins. Not able to continue to the break side, but she hits it inside to Hannah Leathers, lays out just on the goal line. Great opportunity. Riot's defense is tough, though. Now Cousins. And hits Lim. There's some confusion. Lim looked like she had caught it inside the goal, and that is what they're agreeing on. I'm glad they settled on that. That is what I saw. Lim caught it, ran out of bounds, but her first steps were inside the goal line, and a break at a critical time for the All-Stars. 14-11.
Riot's going up a little bit of a hill right here. There's still a chance for them, but they really got to make this offensive point very clean here.
And it looks like Riot's putting on a nice mix of defensive and offensive players. Probably really want to have the personnel that if they turn it, they're going to be able to get it back. And like you had said, they are pretty fluid in their offensive defensive lines. It's not like they have a set one that they need to go to. I guess particularly I'm noting Kelly Johnson out there to play offense.
I'm interested to see what Stern does here. It looks like she's been able to get open under pretty easily all game. Let's see if they look to her off the bat.
Riot spreading the field. Horizontal offense. Out to Titcomb. Soper, big gainer to Zonizer. Johnson puts the moves on Brereton. Gets open on the live side. Inside throw to Soper, continues to the dead side. And an inside break. Zonizer trying to hit Shira Stern. It looks like Carolyn Normau was able to come off, maybe made Stern think a little half second about going all out for that disc. And All-Stars, a game point possession.
And that's Zoniser's second turn into the end zone.
Normal can't get her first couple options. At a high count, just throws it upfield. Leathers going upfield for it. Cousins coming backfield for it. Neither of them can get it. Riot lucks out. Tough defense there. They do a great job on the defense after the turn. Zonizer with the disc. Kelly Johnson upfield. Milks it for a lot of yards and able to get it up and over Lim. Finding Paige Soper for the score. 12-14. Riot's got to put out a tough D-line.
And I credit Soper with the D on that one. She played great handler reset defense. Forced the All-Stars to go upfield and throw this pass that wasn't completed. So even while she didn't get the physical D, I give her that point.
Well, I don't think any of us were really expecting to see Riot in this situation in the first game.
No, I thought the All-Stars were going to have a little bit more time finding that cohesive balance between all the players on their team. But after the first couple points, they really settled in.
Yeah, and they were able to take advantage of the early mistakes from Riot. They've had a couple weeks without a game, and you can lose that edge, that mental focus so quickly.
And with a lot of the All-Stars just coming back from Worlds, where every game really mattered, it was a showcase for them, they were able to keep that mentality and bring that to this. So maybe coming out a little stronger on the mental side than Riot.
Riot on defense.
We'll see how Riot's defense is able to prevail.
Here we go,
Game point
team.
possession for the All-Stars. Centers to Aaron Schrader. Gets a lot of yards on the swing. Oh, and Walrus rushes the throw to Verju. 40 yards to go for Riot to get a break and bring this within one. Again, Kelly Johnson moving very quickly from the back of the field set. Sadler with the disc in the center of the field. There's Johnson again. I imagine she'll be throwing and going up line and able to get in front of Schroeder. Goes to the break side, and Shannon O'Malley gets the goal just in front of Chyna Titcomb. Way to go to that. Now brings Riot within one, 13-14.
And then when you wonder if the nerves of Haley came into play there, the crowd's really pushing for Riot to win here. The sidelines are really amped up. And you wonder if she just wasn't thinking 100% and concentrating and just threw that right into the ground.
And not the time to have a miscue. But they trust her enough to put her back on this O-line. It doesn't look like they made a lot of personnel changes. Swapped out a player or two for the All-Stars.
You'll be able to watch all of these games across the country online. They're live
Riot
streamed
defensive
by
line
the
without Kelly
broadcast
Johnson.
crew.
Still has Lauren
You'll be
Sadler.
able to find that link on the All-Star Ultimate Tour.
Rory Titcomb, I'm sure, will try to play the same role that Kelly Johnson was as a fast-moving handler.
Yeah, on that last point, Riot really utilized the quick give goes and then to the break side immediately. When their defender was out of position, when their mark wasn't set, they really just pushed it to that break side.
Rory Titcomb for the pole.
Pull goes up, putting the All-Stars deep. Yard in their end zone. Now Schrader, a couple yards out. Again, gets a lot of yards on the swing, taking advantage of the poaching. Verju on the sideline, and she puts it up. Scarth is there, Titcomb is there. Scarth keeping her on her back, but Titcomb able to get up and over and knock that one down. Great play in a critical time of this game.
It looked like Scarth had position, but Titcomb just went up early.
High count, Titcomb able to get a nice inside break, keep the disc alive, and gain yards. Now reset. Another inside break. Johnston looked like she had a read on it, couldn't get there in time. Now Riot's offense seems to be slowing down a lot with Titcomb holding the disc, the handlers holding it more, trying to let the cutters develop downfield.
That's about the fourth inside flick that's happened this point. They're really trying to push it to that side.
Sadler on the sideline, trying to go around, has a big mark. Then Verju. Titcomb, I'm sure she'll be looking for an inside break. Can't hit it. Oh, Lauren Sadler gets the up line, does another throw and go. She's got steps. Carr looks her off. Now in a tough spot. Up line to Titcomb. She goes inside, and just like that, 14-14. This game is tied.
All right, we're going to try to feed Riot a little bit of energy through some dance moves.
So 14-14. I'm not quite sure if this is a universe point game to 15. We'll try to get that information to you hopefully before this point gets going, and especially before this point ends. And Riot, what a comeback in the second half. Exactly what we expected, for them to change up their defensive looks and really put the pressure on the All-Stars.
It looks like Lauren Sadler's out for her third consecutive point.
This is double game point, by the way. 14-14.
Just got the news over the PA system. This is double game point, 14-14. An exciting finish for the first game on this tour. Riot trying to complete the comeback. Tick come in the center. We see the upline clear from the handler, and now Schaffner in the center of the field. Big yard gains to Steph Lim. Verju upfield. Lisa Pitcaithley bobbles, and drops it. What a drop. Almost a great finish to the game. Now All-Stars need to grind on this defensive point. Johnson, 7 yards to go. Marked by Titcomb. Big open field. Looks like they're giving Sadler and the handlers a lot of room to work with. Don't see Zahnizer on the far side. She had a lot of yards. They're not getting far, but still content working those handlers. Throw and go. Johnson floats one up to Zahnizer. That one's going to float up and out of bounds. Not the right time for a throwaway. They're really doing well with that give and go, and it usually opens up to a deep throw. But the throw's got to be in the playing field. So the All-Stars with a second chance on this double game point. Schaffner gets it from Titcomb up to Verju. Pitcaithley, plenty of yards on her defender. Up line to Titcomb, 5 yards out of the end zone. All-Stars are settling into a vert stack. Johnson, throw and go. And swing to the center. Titcomb to Jesse Schaffner, and they are able to start off the tour with a win over Seattle Riot.
The All-Star Tour kind of gave Riot a taste of their own medicine with their handler give-go right near the end zone. Kelly Johnson flashed on the open side because she got beat up line, but then she was vulnerable and let that break around off for the goal to Jesse Schaffner.
What a finish here on double game point. It looked like the All-Stars had a smooth offensive point, looking for Lisa Pitcaithley with good positioning in the end zone, but it just bobbles all up in the air as she eventually drops it, and then Riot, trying to complete this comeback, does a good job with the handlers getting it to about midfield, but Kelly Johnson, who had been rock solid all game for that D-line, has a bad time to throw the disc away. Well, that wraps up our first game here in Seattle. We'd like to thank Eric and 5 Ultimate for partnering with the All-Stars. We'll be continuing our tour tomorrow in Vancouver. We will not be able to live stream that game, so look for the replay as it comes up afterwards. I'm Topher Davis with Anna Maria. Thanks a lot for showing out today. Of course, our crew, we got cameraman Tyler Cable and Mario Bundy, camera woman Angela Tochi, director Van Bowie, and instant replay operator Zuni Haley. This has been a great start to the All-Star Tour. Be sure to tune in to our other 8 games. And Vin, why don't you take us out?
Folks, if you'd like to come down on the field after the 2 teams huddle,